Welcome back to Soil Cloth Wine. I'm about to share with you an interview with Karen Krug from Spoiled Dog Winery. She has a lot of interesting practices that she's doing in her vineyards as well as in her winemaking. One of the cool things that I'm gonna shout out and mention ahead of time that I didn't have time to get to in the interview is the fact that she is doing cold stabilization of some of her whites outside because the climate is so cool, which is just a fun fact. A lot of the things that she had around the winery really helped incorporate the community. So one of my recommendations after watching this interview is that you visit that island and experience not only what that island is like in general and some of the other wineries nearby, but also stop in, and she has a lot of community events that go on. She spoke about yoga, about horseback riding, some art that went on, and of course her dogs will be there to greet you. So I hope that some of you guys get to stop in and maybe participate in some of those events that she's so enthusiastic about. Just arrived at Spoiled Dog Winery, and I thought it was interesting that the mountain huckleberries are still on their plant, which means that no frosts have come through this area, which is telling you a lot about the 2018 harvest cycle, and also the temperature fluctuations of this particular. Hello everyone, so I am currently at Spoiled Dog Winery. It's in the Puget Sound in the Washington area. This particular appellation extends from Canada all the way down towards Seattle and across towards Olympia. It has a maritime climate, so as I look out the window right now, see a little bit of rain, so that's going to make my drive back a little bit interesting. But it also imparts a lot of different pressures towards the types of things you can grow here, and I'm planning on discussing that a little bit more. I'm here with Karen Krug, and we're going to be discussing a couple of different factors, especially because the Puget Sound has a really interesting relationship with the local community that you can see around here, which I'll probably show you in a minute. Also focus on environmental sustainability, and a thing I'm especially interested to talk about is the variety of wines that you grow. So why don't you tell us a little bit about some of the selections that you have in front of us, and then some of the stuff that you also have in terms of like the wine profiles.
Sure. So we just picked a couple that might be interesting for people. First of all, our Pinot, just because we grow Pinot here, Pinot Noir, and it's been very popular for us, both as we do a rosé as well as the Pinot. We also have here Carmenere, which is kind of an unusual grape that people aren't as familiar with. It's the one that was called the lost grape because it was diseased out in France in the 18th century. And then later in Chile, they DNA tested Merlot that they thought was a little bit unusual, and it turns out it was Carmenere. And now we grow it in Washington State, and it's kind of a fun wine, very bold and spicy. And then our Cabernet Sauvignon, because what was fun about that one, we do a lot of Bordeaux. We have like Merlot, Malbec. We do a couple blends with the Cab Franc blend, more dominant, and a more Cab dominant, and then in 2015 we decided to do a straight Cab, and that was our first time we did that, and got a gold for it. And we source our grapes. Our grapes are all from well, this is from Clipson Vineyard, which is Red Mountain. We've gotten some from, we do Connerly Vineyard. We do also some Oregon grapes from Montazi Vineyard, Mesara. So we get very good grapes for where we get our for our wine.
Yeah, so what we have poured here is your guys' estate Pinot Noir.
Right.
So this is something that is growing currently outside of the windows.
Mm-hmm.
And do you want to tell me a little bit about some of the considerations that you have in terms of growing here? So we're talking like maritime climate. For many people that are considering like a Washington area, you think tons of rain, and you think that there's going to be probably a lot of disease pressure towards powdery mildew and things like that. And you guys have a couple of different ways of dealing with that.
Right. So first of all, we are on an island. So an island's kind of a different animal than the mainland. So we're more inland in the island, which tends to work well with, we don't get the fog in the mornings, and we have a very good climate here. Powdery mildew is probably our biggest threat of anything that we get other than birds. We don't really have pests too much other than those. But we do all organic practices. So we spray for everything with organic sprays. We don't put anything in our wine that we wouldn't put in our mouth. That's very important to us. It's very important when we source our grapes as well, too. But when we're looking at properties like where you would plant these grapes, we have a very good eastern exposure where the sun comes up first thing in the morning, gets grapes all hot, goes across the day. They stay very warm and hot, and we don't have a lot of wind because we're inland. People think we have a lot of rain, but in the summer we have like 3 months of no rain. We're drought, so when it rains, it's in the wintertime and everything's dormant. They don't care. The only thing you do have to do is sometimes lime, basically put some acidity back into the soil because of that rain.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
There's some interesting misconceptions that tend to happen about this region, especially with the rainfall and some of the powdery mildew things that you guys are able to avoid by your guys' use of organic pesticides, and also a regime that you have to do with cutting and spacing that we talked about earlier. And one of the things that I should also mention, so we're trying their estate Pinot Noir right now. They also have a Oregon Pinot Noir that they make on site, and it's also sourced from a biodynamic vineyard, which is very important to you guys. And I was wondering if you could talk a little bit about some of your environmental programs. So you spoke to me about your growler program, which is very cool. It comes in a bottle very similar to this. So if you're from Oregon, which many of my listeners are, you tend to imagine a growler in like a bigger surface area is what I tend to think, but a bigger vessel, and they have it here for $18 and
Right,
$18.
so it's a 1 liter glass bottle, 1 liter fill growler. So it's very green because you're not recycling the bottle, the label, the cork. We still handcraft that wine the same way we handcraft our Pinot and all of our other wines here. So it's not a cheap type of wine, and it's really popular with people because it is, such a good price point. Yeah.
No, you're fine. Go ahead, come on. We have just a couple of other people coming on in. This is your son?
Yeah.
And you guys
Yeah.
all work on the winemaking process?
Oh yeah.
We do?
Yeah, he helps with winemaking. Definitely. He'll be the winemaker at some point.
Exciting. And you have a lot of interesting community ties. So not only are you bringing in our second generation, promptly added in, what perfect timing, but you also have some systems where you're inviting people in for events. You are supporting a lot of local businesses in the tasting room, which is very cool to see, and is a lot of my interest. For a lot of the Washington vineyards, they just, in the western half, so things on the western side of the Cascades, they tend to get overrun with, in terms of audience, all of the focus tends to be on Eastern Oregon, things coming out of Yakima or Walla, of Washington, sorry, Washington. And that tends to draw the focus away from here. And it's interesting to see that there is like a local community growing here and across the Puget Sound and Western Washington region that is thriving based on wines, but also very appropriately food pairings.
Yeah, we have a big community here on the island that do a lot of local produce. So we do a lot of winemaker dinners in the summer, and with that it's local produce, everything. And our caterers that we get are all local, of course. A couple of them we've made very famous over the years, and they now have their own restaurants. So we continue, people love what we do. We donate all of the proceeds to nonprofits on the island. We do a lot of collaboration. That's a big thing on the island with different businesses. One specific thing I did in the last couple of years was make this verjus, which is the grapes when they're not, when you green pick before they're ready to pick for Pinot, and you press it and you make it without fermenting. It's used for in place of vinegar, but we also infused it with Lavender Wind Farms lavender, which was kind of fun because they're on the island as well. But we have all sorts of different things in our tasting room that are from, the Chocolate Flower Farm, the Lavender Wind Farm, Milepost 19, the wood crafting people that make really nice corkscrews and things like that. And everybody on the island tends to be very cooperative with other people, collaborate with them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I thought it was interesting. One of the things that you did here was that you have people that come in and you offer them a discount, and they'll come in on horseback or bike, and
People think horseback's funny, but they actually do come in on horseback, and they're
in Renaissance gear.
And then we have the group that comes in their Renaissance outfits, usually on Labor Day, and they'll do quadrilles in our arena here, which is kind of fun as well. So yeah.
Dual community and also environmentally friendly because you're not using cars.
Yeah,
so
definitely.
Works with two things.
You can run, walk, bring a horse in. We do give motorcycles the benefit of being a bicycle, even though they're not a bicycle.
They're cool.
Yeah.
It works. One of the things that comes out of this particular region, in terms of local to local pairings, is Pen Cove mussels.
Yes, we actually have a wine called Pen Cove Red, which is a Cab Merlot blend. Yeah.
Okay.
And after Pen Cove. Yes.
After Pen Cove. And is that what you would choose from your range to pair with Pen Cove mussels?
Actually, no, I would choose the Escape Blanc, which is the Riesling blended with Zigarebe, which is a local grape, more of a white with that. Yeah, because that's wonderful with mussels, and we definitely have. I mean, these mussels are world famous.
Yes, they're world famous, and one of the things that I really wanted to point out, something that deserves also to have the same amount of world famousness, is that you guys have that Italian varietal, which I think we really quickly went over, that Zigarebe. I was wondering if you could talk more about why that's on the island, what you think about that growing here.
So we have a couple of whites on the island, the Madeleine Angevine, Madeleine Savannah, and Zigarebe, and they're actually in the whole Puget region. And they're a cooler climate, same as Pinot Noir. Pinot Noir is the kind of the red, while those are the whites that we grow in this region. There's another red, a Regant, that some people are doing as well, but Pinot's more known. So those in different blends have been very popular. People like them. They're more Germanic, kind of similar more to a Gewürztraminer, for lack of anything else you might know. But they're very floral, fruity kind of grapes.
And Zigarebe is a hybrid of
Madeleine Angevine and Gewürztraminer. Yeah.
And it's a German variety. I think I misspoke and said Italian before, but it is German. And it's interesting if you are looking at German varieties, or you know that you like German wines, to try something that is from this particular region, because we're looking at a low altitude maritime climate, which is completely different to what they would have from Germany, from the same regions growing that. So completely different expression of the same varietal, which is very cool. And that tends to be something that is similar about all of the Puget Sound, you were saying?
Yes, yes.
For those that are listening, if you are interested in a variety of German, Italian wines, you want to try something that is unusual, you want perhaps a weekend escape from wherever you are on the West Coast, if that's where you happen to be, Whidbey Island is a great getaway. There's a whole bunch of different vineyards here, there's a lot of dog-friendly stuff, and one of the exceptional things is that you can count on the fact that you don't need to bring any food and wine. They're going to have a whole selection for you, and it's all going to be local, and it all pairs really beautifully.
The only thing I would add is if you come here, you should stay overnight, at least one, if not 2 nights. We have a lot of really good Airbnbs, VRBOs, things like that. It's definitely a way to see. So there's a lot of public lands here that you can hike and go, a couple miles on the beach and things like that as well.
Yep. I think I'm about to head to an off-leash dog park that's on the beach.
Yeah. 2 miles long.
2 miles. It's going to be a little bit of a walk.
I don't have to go the whole way.
That's fine. I'll do the round. My dog will enjoy it. I hope that you guys enjoyed listening in on this particular interview. And I'll be posting this shortly into a format that people can actually access continuously, that's not just live stream, and as well as the information about these particular wines if you wanted to come and try them. I would give you some of that. So I hope you have a good day. Thank you so much.
All right, thanks.